everyone, I hope you're having a great day. My name is Aga Grandowicz and I'm a wildlife artist. I usually draw animals, a bit of plants, but I focus on animals. And I use these illustrations, this drawing, this artwork in books, children books, or various publications related to biodiversity and wildlife. So one of my projects, it's a book which was published in 2018. It's Dr. Hibernica Finch's Compendium of Irish Animals. And I made drawings, all the drawings, all the design of this book. At the moment I'm waiting for my new book to be printed, so hopefully it will be available very soon. Its title is Remarkable Creatures, a guide to some of Ireland's disappearing animals. So today we'll paint with watercolors, and as a topic I chose a meadow, a wildflower meadow. So we'll need a watercolor paper. So, as you probably know, watercolor paper has a nice texture. And it's quite thick, so it soaks water very well, so it doesn't get thinner, and it's you can paint many layers on top of each other for quite a long time. Okay. Then of course we need watercolors. So I have this nice set which has trays, and it's very nice design because you can just attach it here. Okay, and I have double tray. Of course, I don't expect you to have a similar set, so you can use just a standard ceramic or plastic plate to mix your colors. And we need brushes. Okay, so I have a few brushes I use most, and watercolor brushes have to be very soft. Okay, so there's one of very small one, so for small details, and this one is for wider strokes, like for backgrounds. Okay, and the next thing we need, but not necessarily, just if you have that, it's watercolor pencils. So the way you work with them is a bit different than with standard pencils. So basically, when you draw over a wet paper, the color dissolves very nicely. So I will show you soon in more details how to work with that. And of course, because it's a watercolor, we need a cup with water. So I have it here filling. And yeah, so I'll get everything ready here, and I will see you in a moment. Bye bye. So I'm mixing my green paints now. That will be the background of our meadow, and as you can see, it's quite dry at the moment, so I will add a bit more water. Okay, you can see it dissolves lovely. Okay, so I'll keep adding water and the paint. Different shades of green. I mix it with a bit of brown, maybe a bit of blue. Okay, I think we need a bit stronger color, so I'll add more paint now. Now it will be a sketchy artwork, so just be brave, be confident when you paint. Now I'll show you a very cool effect which we'll achieve by using standard salt. Okay, so that's my salt here, and I will sprinkle a bit on the wet paint. So what's important, the paint has to be still wet. And in a few minutes, when it dries, you will see the paint kind of escaping, okay, from the area around the salt grains. And when it's all dry, we'll just swipe it, and will be all very interesting. So here I can see there's already something happening. Okay, but we'll wait for this to happen. Okay, so now I will just continue working here. Now I really like this brush because it has when it's wet, it has a pointy tip, so I can paint quite small minuscule details. moment just looks like a big piece of green, so I'm going to add some color. And I will start with, let's see, maybe a bit of yellow just to make some parts a bit brighter. Watercolor paper is great because you can paint over and over and over and it's still in a good shape. Other papers would just, you know, get thinner, they would get ruined. So this one is still in a very good shape and will be like that for a while longer. Now I will add some blue. Little dots like that, because I want it to be very sketchy. Okay, so now they look a bit like cornflowers. Okay, so maybe a bit stronger, a bit darker. Also, there's another thing to add little dots, another way to add little dots like that. So you just take a wet brush, okay, dip it in paint, and then using your fingers spray it like that. Okay, some nice effect. Just don't overuse it. Okay, here you go. Now I will take my small brush and I will add some, maybe something brown, like, you know, a bit of a dry plant. Let me see how it looks like. Okay, that's fine. So you can imagine an early spring meadow which has still some dry plants from the previous year. Now, as you can see, because I'm painting wet in wet, it all dissolves, so it's not very well refined. If we were painting on dry, wet paint on dry paper, that would be a bit different story. But I want to keep it like that, at least here. Okay, now let's add some, that's getting dry. So I'm going to add something a bit more refined, a bit sharper. So that will be our foreground. Now there are different watercolor papers, so you might want to try a few different brands just to see which one. Oh, this is nice and refined, nice and sharp. You might want to see which brand you like most, because some are kind of plasticky. I do not find them nice. This has a real paper feel. And you don't need to go to Art and Hobby. You can just go to shops like Deals or Mr. Price. They have a wide range of art materials as well. You can see I hope you can see what is happening here. So that's our salt. So it's drying, and then this paint just keeps moving away. So you see this, let's say cornflowers, they're very blurred at the moment, but that's okay. We'll keep them, some of them as our background, okay? And I'll add more lines when it all gets a bit dry. Okay, here we have some dry patches, so I can fill those with a new layer of paint. And here. Now just try to give it a bit different stroke, so I tend to draw, short lines like that, but let's maybe give it a bit, maybe something like a bit curved, like little spirals maybe, there's such a variety of plants in nature, so I can think about that. Here's still wet. Okay, I will let it dry for a bit, and in the meantime I will show you how to work with watercolor pencils. So I'll take a different piece of paper. Okay, and I'll take a few pencils. Okay, so there are two ways. The first one is we draw first without using the paint, the water. So, no, yeah, I should say it, okay. So let's eat some random plant, okay? And now we are going to use some paint or water. And you can see it dissolves, all dissolves. You will not have the same effect with standard color pencils. Okay, now the way number 2 is to draw on the wet paint. So like here, you can add extra details, and it's a very nice actually feeling to paint like that on this wet paper. Again, if you try doing this with standard color pencils, it will be a completely different story. Okay, see, it doesn't work like that. That might be a watercolor as well. Wait. Okay, this one is not watercolor, so it's a bit different. It doesn't dissolve like the other ones. Okay, you can just keep adding, keep playing with that. You can use your finger as well. Look at this blending. So there's so much to explore when it comes to painting with watercolors. That's why I think it's a very difficult, incredibly difficult technique to master. I hope one day I will. I'm just looking at the other picture, and I can see that it's quite dry, and the salt produced really lovely effects. So I'll show you that in a moment. So just adding a bit of paint now. Okay, so that's how we use the pencils. Now let's come back to the previous one. Okay, so look at this. What's going on here? Okay, that's quite interesting. Okay, I will add some foreground plants. Wait. I need to mix a few greens because the ones I have, none of them is perfect for what I want. So I need to do a bit of mixing. Now adding a bit more blue for the flowers. Of course, we need to paint some dandelions because they are extremely important plants for pollinators. They flower very early and they are full of nectar, so many bees rely on them in the early months of the year. They are absolutely essential. So if you can grow some of them in your garden, that would be great. I know that many gardeners, including myself, are not too keen on having too many dandelions, but recently actually start taking it easy, and I don't even remove the dandelions because they are not only beautiful, but they have lots of other benefits. They are great herbs, so you can use the roots in tea. So you dry the roots and then pour over them boiling water. Sip for a few minutes, and that's a great tea if you have, for example, a stomachache. Then you can use very young leaves in salads. They have a bitter taste, so not everyone might like it, but it's an interesting addition regardless. Now plants like daffodils, they have almost no nectar, so they're absolutely useless for pollinators, but dandelions, it's simply a must if you want to have a healthy ecosystem here. Now what about some foxgloves? So I'm mixing my pink, and I'll put, oh, that's a bit too dark. If it's something too dark, you just add more water. That usually helps, but of course sometimes you might need to change the color. I hope you have some wildflowers, meadows in your area, so you could go there and paint directly from nature. I tried to do that recently in Marley Park, but there was no wildflowers apart from just a few dandelions here and there. The reason for that is because the grasses in Marley Park are mowed way too frequently. So all these beautiful native Irish plants, they just don't have a chance to grow. Unfortunately, it's a very common thing to do for the councils to cut too often. Although recently I noticed some improvement, so they leave patches which they mark as pollinator friendly, but still in autumn they cut everything, so that pollinator friendliness doesn't last too long. So you can spend actually hours nearly adding little bits and pieces and improving the artwork. Okay, but I think that for the purpose of this workshop, this is fine as it is. I'll just add a few more bits here and there, and we'll be done. So I'll change a brush, take a different brush, so this one will be a bit wider. And maybe, why not to add some elements of the pencils. Okay, that's not wet enough, that's why it doesn't work well. Okay, here is better. Okay, and that's it. I think, maybe one more thing. What about a little butterfly? Maybe orange. Okay, somewhere here at the back. And of course, a few dandelions, as I promised before. Okay, here we go. That's our meadow. Now One more thing that's actually worth thinking about, if you're doing some, let's call it a serious artwork, okay, it's, you can see that when you paint, the paper warps a bit, okay, so it's not very straight. So the good thing to do is to use a paper tape and just stick the paper to your surface. Can be a clipboard like that one before you start painting, okay? So while you paint, it will still look like that, will be a bit, you know, wavy, but while it dries out, it will get flat again. If we don't use the tape, like I did not do for this artwork, it will not get straight, it will not get flat. So we just need to, you know, just put some books maybe on top of that, or just, you know, we don't need to bother. Okay, so if it's an artwork you want to keep, it's better to use the tape around it. Thank you so much for participating in this workshop, and I hope you have created some lovely meadow art. It will be great to see the results. So if you would like, take a photo, post it online with a hashtag #GoAwayBooth, and hopefully you'll find it and we'll be able to see it. Thank you very much again. Have a lovely day and see you next time. Bye bye.